Okay, so today's question comes to us from a girl in year six. The question for today is, if we stay in self-isolation for quite a long time, is it going to change the sort of person that I am? It's a really, really good question, and certainly a lot deeper than the questions we've had in the last few weeks. So let's get to answering it. The first thing I would say is it's a completely normal feeling to feel like you're a little bit anxious at the moment and you're a bit worried or a bit bored or all those immediate feelings and different sorts of emotions. It's a very normal feeling to have. I know that I'm feeling quite anxious about everything at the moment. The idea that I'm a very hyperactive person who can't sit still, as you probably know, and I don't particularly like being indoors for a long period of time or not being able to just get out and about. So the idea of staying inside all the time does worry me sometimes, but I'm going to try to use this time to change my mindset, to be a bit more positive about all these things, and to learn to be a bit more mindful and to just sort of be a bit more calm and learn how to be a bit more sort of relaxed in these sort of situations rather than always wanting to go and do things. Slow my life down a little bit. So I'm going to try to view this time as an actual time for me to improve that part of my my mindset that might be a little bit hyperactive. But there's a few things I think that we should think about whether we think it's going to change us. I think the first thing to do to make sure that we use this time properly is to give ourselves some purpose each day. So making sure that we create ourselves a routine each day that works for us, in which we're actually able to continue doing some of those things and create a bit of normality in our lives. So I think getting up in the morning, getting ready, going to logging on, getting on to our sort of schoolwork and going through those sort of things is a real positive, and I think it really makes the day run a little bit smoother. I think it's also really important to think of this as a positive time for you, even as a learner. You've had a lot of teachers always around you throughout these points who are kind of motivating you, but now you need to be in charge of that motivation. You need to be the one who is in charge of your own learning and become a self-motivated learner. So it might actually view that as a positive. This is my time to stand up and learn how to do this before I end up going to high school. So that might be a real positive. Also might open up some free time for you to follow some of your interests. You would hate to look back on this time and realize that all you did the whole time was play Fortnite and gaming, and you didn't actually use the time at all useful. I'm not saying you can't take a break to do those things, but maybe try to use this time to follow some of your interests and see if maybe there's some part of your personality or life or different sorts of things that you haven't actually unlocked yet. Learn how to play an instrument, learn how to speak another language, research that thing you've always wanted to do, start taking on different hobbies around the house or different things that you want to try. Might actually find that you actually get something that comes out of it that might be a positive, that if it wasn't for that I would have never known how to do this. So trying to find some purpose throughout each of that time I think would be really important. The next thing I think would be really important is to make sure that we stay connected with people. You might actually find this time might actually improve your relationship with those people around you. I'm sure it's going to be tricky sometimes being in a house with people constantly all the time, but you might find that it actually helps you to gain a better appreciation and gratitude towards these people in your lives. I know that trying to stay connected through my family with FaceTime and things is a great thing that we do to try to stay connected with each other. And also I think our Zoom chats are great. I think the ability of us to communicate with each other, I know that it helps my day. Getting up each morning, knowing I'm going to see all of your faces, and it really sets me in a good mindset for the rest of the day, that I can see everyone and I know everyone's okay and I can sort of have a chat and we can sort of act a bit normal before I go on with my day. I think it's a great way to start. I think finding the positives through this, even though we could focus on the negatives, but trying to find positives within our own selves is the best thing we can do. Trying to be creative, try and think of things to do around the house. Try to think of ways you can change different things. I know in my life we just had an outdoor cinema night, or we might try to make funny videos or things like that. These ways of sort of using this time to be more creative is a great opportunity for this. I think you could probably, if you watch too much of the news, you know that I'm one of those people who tell you to stay informed and to know what's going on in the world. But there's a chance that you might actually watch too much and you might be only viewing some things that make you sort of worry. And I think it's also good to have a balance of different things. So I would suggest to go online and follow, there's a man called John Krasinski. He's an actor and he's making these things called good news stories from around the world at the moment. And they're really positive and uplifting. And maybe that might counterbalance some of the other things that you might be hearing or watching, because it's really, really so many great things that are happening at the moment around the world. Some great sort of spirit and some great sort of empathy showing towards each other. So trying to find that, I'll put a link below of what that link to that news site is, because it's a really, really positive thing that does sort of counterbalance sometimes the other things that you're only hearing. So I think it might be a bit of a worrying time, but I guess the thing to think about is that we are doing the right thing. By doing what we're doing, we're actually trying to make it a bit safer for everyone else around us. So that's what we're doing. And so while we're in our house, we need to be as positive as possible. You know, we shouldn't always be trying to feel worried or anxious or not sure what's going on. We should really try to view this time as a time to give ourselves purpose, to improve ourselves, to stay connected with everyone, and try to make sure that we don't just always hear the doom and gloom, and we try to view some of those positive things that are happening, because there's some great things that are happening. I mean, maybe, I guess, if you come out of it, you think that you know what, you might change as a person, but maybe you might change as a better person. I mean, I know that's what I'm hoping, that there are improvements that I can sort of come across and things that I can learn. And I guess if we try to view it as an experience that we're going to look back on and think, oh, what did I use my time for? Let's hope it can be a positive experience where we feel like this is a time where, oh, this happened or this happened. Because really, I guess that's the best way for us to get through this, is to try to view this experience as something to sort of learn something from. I hope that's been useful. If you have any comments below, or any ways of the ways that you think that you could can help you during this time, I'd love to hear it. If you have any other questions you want me to answer, also comment below, and I'm happy to go through those too. I hope that's been some help to you. And just know that I'm so grateful in my life that I've got a class like you guys that I get to see every day. And I'm so glad we do our Zoom chats, because it's one of my favorite parts of my day, seeing you guys. And I can't wait to go back to normal, till we get to go back to class properly and we get to finish our year together. But until then, all we can do is stay connected and try to make these changes. But thank you for watching, and I hope it's been helpful. Thanks.